Hey guys, I asked you in my community tab if you had any of the work stories involving rude customer experiences, and I got several interesting stories. I'm going to read them to you. Before I begin, I'd like to announce I'm getting a brand new video intro soon. It's going to be made by Froggy with Fries. Please go check her out. She has really cute artwork, and they're one of the artists for the Plant Dolan crew. Please check them out. Give them the love and support. And also, before I begin, I had several rude customer experiences, from customers straight up making me cry for literally no reason to getting cussed out over McChickens, even though it wasn't my fault. Now, let's read these and see what your guys' stories are. And also, I apologize if I mess up a lot. I will try it out as much as I can. Ready? This is gonna sound like entitled parents. My friend's mama was a nurse in the intensive care unit, and she was taking care of a teenage guy who had climbed a really tall evergreen tree, lost his footing, fell like 20 feet into a river, which probably saved his spine, but broke both his arms and a rib, concussed himself badly, and had a bunch of gashes from hitting branches on the way down. And they were cleaning his wounds, bandaging him, when his mom arrived in demand to see him. They told her she had to wait because they needed to patch him up and that she could sit in the waiting room. She understand and asked, "Why can't you just wait a minute while I see him?" And my friend's mom explained to her that he could die if they don't slow the bleeding quickly and they can't stop their work. And plus, he was unconscious anyway, so she wouldn't be able to even talk to him. She got frustrated and started to demand that they let her see him and that they wake him up. When she tried to tell her once again that they couldn't, the angry mom called her a hoe and said that this place was the shittiest hospital in all of Washington, completely unreliable, full of idiots and bad business practices, and that she wanted her son to be transferred to a new one immediately. She was removed from the hospital when the kid's other mom, they were lesbians, came in the next day. She brought all the nurses homemade cookies and a bouquet of fake flowers as an apology. When I was working at Walmart about 2 issues ago, there was a bigger man that, despite seeing my name tag, referred to me in a very degrading manner, kept calling me a white hoe and anything in between, completely refusing to call me by my name on my name tag. Our customers were looking at him, but never spoke up. That was pretty news, though. I was scared to refuse to serve him, and I didn't want to get fired. I know what you mean there. Sometimes that happens to me too. I get scared to speak up because of stuff like that, so I know what you mean. Back when I was 17, I started my first job at Sonic Drive-In as car hop, and I worked there for almost 2 years. One weekend in the summer, we got extremely busy, and I mean, there was a car in every lot we had. So some of the cooks would accidentally put some of the same thing in the bag because they always keep a track of what's going on. I take out this man's order, everything looks correct on his receipt, tells me I was very sweet. He thanked me, gave me a decent tip. I turn back to the building, take more orders out, then the man starts to yell at me to come back in a very angry tone. I'm worried we may have messed up his orders, so I asked him if everything was okay. He looks at me and pulls out an extra grilled cheese from his bag and goes, "Excuse me, ma'am, but what the hell is this?" I'm so confused at this point because that's what he ordered. I asked him what's wrong with the sandwich. He says he didn't ask for 2 grilled cheese and he only wanted 1. I think to myself, dude, I would kill for extra grilled cheese with my order, but that's just me, I guess. He tells me to give him back his tip, so I did, and he puts the change in his pocket, unwraps the extra grilled cheese, takes a bite out of it, and hands it back to me and tells me that that's my new tip. I wish I was joking, and I was so mad about the rest of my shift because who on earth does that? This man had to be at least in his 40s. Some people are just rude and unreasonable. You can't always win over customers' affections. Sometimes, even if you do everything right, they're still gonna find a reason to be mad at you. Here's my volunteering story. I had been asked over the summer to come into the nursing home that my mom works at and help with the residents over the summer. And normally set up fun things for the residents to take part in, like bingo, picnics, barbecues, even bring in guests for singing for the residents. I also decided to sit with one of the residents who have a family or couldn't come to the event. Mom told me to just mingle with them and make them smile. I grew close to a couple of them because how fun they were to be around. Anyway, I was getting the order of food that a resident to have placed, and I sat in front of her and began talking to her and help her remember what's going on. And she smiled at me and thanked me. It was the best feeling in the world when you know you're able to help somebody. But then I turn and see this lady standing behind me. She starts shouting at me, asking why I haven't brought her food to her mother yet. I was only deciding to bring people food who I was taking care of for the day at the barbecue. And I guess she thought I was the nurse already. But I explained to her that I was just a volunteer for the day. Mom assigned me to do this for the residents who weren't lucky enough to have family there. And she told me that that wasn't an excuse, but that was the job I was asked to do. I told her she had a problem with that. She could talk to the activities director because I was just a volunteer. And the director, they told this woman that her mother's food was already being cooked and on the way and would be out in a second. It ended up being my mom as the nurse who brought over the food, and the women complained to her for a bit, and she told her that her mother wasn't the only resident that needed to be taken care of, and she got all food. The activities director told her she could not have a positive mood, and she could not come to any more events. But you can't deny them the right to just see their family members, though. She just took this way out of proportion. And I always get cussed by entitled moms where she screams at the cashier thinking they're ripping her off at all the things that she buys expensive. She already bought these things and her child already ate some of it, so that's not ripping her off at all. This didn't happen to me, but to a coworker. She was working on the floor. I work at a university bookstore, Birch store, and saw two grown men, 40s according to her, manhandling this floating football helmet display. She calls out to them in her friendliest tone to please not mess with it. They continue to mess around with it. She gets closer to them and says it again. Still friendly. They continue. She then right next to them and says it a third time. They finally stop and one of them says, "You do have to be such a bitch about it." She then walks away smiling in shock. Keep in mind, she's in her early 20s and this guy said like 45. She then heard the same guy say to his wife a few minutes later, "You need to leave. A dumb slut was being rude to me. I will support this business." Like, what? College football fans are so entitled, I swear. I was working at Worlds of Fun for the second Winterfest season. I was an elf on sprinkle duty, explaining the rules of the sprinkles machine and whatnot. Literally had no idea this one lady wasn't with the other group because they were all held together and crap. That happens to me sometimes too. Sometimes I mistake a person by himself as somebody with a big group. That happens to me a lot. And there's a rule that you couldn't make more than 4 cups of sprinkles per table, and that had 8 people, or I think it was 4. I told her, "Ma'am, your table already has reached its limit of sprinkles." And she just gave me this pissy look and said, "No, I haven't." And basically complained to my supervisor, and I was lectured for an hour. So yeah. And there you have it. I hope you guys enjoy that. That was something that I kind of wanted to do for you guys, to try to do something to be more active with you guys. I hope that was fun. I apologize for messing up, and I'll see you next time. Nighty night.